Hello YouTube, and today I'm doing my top 5 Patrick Troughton stories. Now this has been a really hard choice. I didn't think it would be actually, but it was deciding between the two Cybermen stories. So yeah, let's look at number 5. So number 5 is the Crotons. A bit of a bizarre choice, I know, but I really do like this story because you get to see the Doctor and Zoe bond a bit more, because the second Doctor era is now renowned for Pat and Fraser Hines, but it's really nice to see a bit more interaction with Zoe and Patrick Troughton. And the Crotons are a fantastic design, but the bottom half does let it down. Yeah, I do like this story, using mind power and stuff like that. It's really good. Yeah, the Crotons is a fantastic story. First story by Robert Holmes. Then we have number 4, The Seeds of Death. This story introduces the Ice Lord, him on the cover. I think it's a great sort of way to tell the Ice Warrior ranks, really, because it was quite confusing in the Ice Warriors telling which Ice Warrior was who, because the design is very similar to, well, all the Ice Warriors and the Ice Warriors looked the same. So it's a great way to tell the difference. Seeds of Death, as I was saying to Harry Williams, I couldn't stand this story when I first got it on DVD back in 2007, I think it was. Now, I thought this story was terrible, and it just dragged. But since rewatching it a few months ago, I have a totally different opinion. I think it's one of the best Ice Warriors stories, probably one of my second favourite Ice Warriors story. Yeah, the last story to feature the Ice Warriors in black and white, which is nice. Yeah, good story. So this story is only at number 3 because it's quite a predictable story for number 1. So I thought, well, I'll mix it up a bit. But this is probably one of my favourite Troughton stories, but I can't put it on number 1 because everyone's put it there. I just don't want to be quite predictable. And it is Tomb of the Cybermen. Yes. Brilliant sets. Patrick Troughton is usually referred to as sort of a clown doctor, but this story you see a totally new sort of side to the Doctor, but he can be quite a concerned cosmic hobo, and I love that. The Cybermen design are great. Second time they were with this design. Yeah, I love the Cybermat, I love the Cyber Controller as well, and the voices of the Cybermen, and the tombs of course, and the sets are just brilliant. Yeah, so this would be at number 1, but I thought I'd change it just to give these other two stories a bit more chance in the limelight instead of this one. Okay, number 2 we have The Invasion. Now the Invasion is very iconic because you've got the Cybermen walking down the steps of St. Paul's Cathedral. I think this was a very different take on the Cybermen because they actually invaded somewhere. They actually came to Earth. I know the 10th planet was sort of on the Arctic or some place like that, and then the moon base, and then Tomb of the Cybermen and Wheel in Space. I think this is the first time the Cybermen become a threat to populated places. Yeah, there's a really good moment when Patrick Troughton's being shot by the Cybermen, and he's just doing this crazy little jump, and I love that. No, it's not on the back, I thought it was. Yeah, the Cybermen look really cool. Well, this design is probably one of my favourite designs of the Cybermen, and they look really menacing with their sort of flamethrower gun. I think that looks really good in black and white when they're fighting unit. Yeah, it's really cool, and the 2 animated episodes are really good. It's another way to enjoy the story instead of listening to the soundtrack. So at number 1 we have Patrick Troughton's final story as the Doctor, The War Games. This is quite a sad story, and it sends a really good message from the 60s era of Doctor Who, and it's a fitting tribute to when Doctor Who first started in the 1960s. It says goodbye to black and white Doctor Who, so yeah, it says goodbye to Patrick Troughton, Wendy Padbury and Fraser Hines. and you learn quite a substantial amount about the Doctor's background. If you put your shoes back in 1969, they didn't know, or we didn't know either, really, about what was the Doctor's people, why did he leave his home planet. Yeah, this is a really good epic 10-part story. This would be really good if you're like a kid and you like the history, and you learn about all the different battles, like the Mexican battle, First World War, Romans. Yeah, Patrick Troughton is very strong in this story, and I think you've got to put it at #1 because it has his best performance in Doctor. Well, not his best performance, but this really does show that he can be the cosmic hobo right until the end, because when he's being exiled and he's spinning around going, "Stop, you're making me giddy," he kept that childish sort of thing going right until the end, and I think every incarnation of a Doctor before regenerating should keep that sort of persona what that Doctor had. And I just think it was great, and I love Troughton's Doctor, and I'm glad that he could, he got it perfect, as they said in the Mind of Evil BFI talk, saying that Troughton got it right, going in as a character actor before Doctor Who being a character actor, then doing Doctor Who, and then going out as a character actor again, and he did numerous films which are being repeated on a Sunday. Yeah, you get to see the Doctor's shopping list, which is quite funny, him riddling through all the monsters what he had faced in his travels. Yeah, I love episode 1 when the Doctor, Jamie and Zoe walk out of the TARDIS, and it's just brilliant because they get splashed by mud and they're just like, oh yes, and it's a really good scene, that, and yeah, I do like it, and the setting of the sort of the no man's land is really cool, and it looks really good in black and white. I think you can get away with it really, but it being a sort of a tip. Yeah, so the War Games is a fantastic story. I recommend all these stories, but if I had the choice, if some of the Patrick Troughton stories existed, then I do feel that these stories wouldn't actually, well, War Games would be, I suppose, but there are better Troughton stories what are missing. It's got to be said. Troughton hasn't got a fair sort of line really, but yeah, so this has been my top 5 of Patrick Troughton stories. Join me next time as I will do the missing years with William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton.